Okay guys, welcome back to Jack of All Trades. Today we're going to be doing 2009 Hyundai Accent 1.6 liter front brakes and rotors. We're going to be replacing them. I'm at the wear limits of my brakes, so I better do this now before the winter really kicks in. Been lucky today is a mild day. I just finished doing the oil change, and in the previous video I just showed you the tool, that DeWalt angle tool. That thing's really neat. Anyway, that saves some time, but these are the brake pads you're going to need. Let's get the receipt out. Like usual, I cover all the brake parts. I picked these up at AutoZone USA. You can pick them up in Canada, Hyundai dealer. You could go OEM or you can go aftermarket. These are aftermarket C-Max Gold ceramic brake pads. It includes the hardware kit with the star. We're required by OE, but we have the kit already on the vehicle. We're going to use the existing springs and the brake end, the spring pieces. I'll show you that later. If you're not too sure, if you haven't checked out my other two videos, I have a brake service video, but we're going to give you the gist of how to replace these parts, and we're going to give you the torque settings on the caliper bracket as we take it off, put it back on. And like I said, when you get your wear indicators, and they haven't squeaked yet, but they're really close. I got less than 2 millimeters of pad. It's time to put new brakes on. I'm also going to do a brake flush in this video, do all 4 wheels, and show you guys how to do that as well properly. Let's cover the parts here. Brake pads, they come in a set. Both sides are in the box as one set, and they are part number 500569. It says DGC1156 Duralast C-Max brake pads. They were $39.99 a piece. Let's open them up and show you what you get. This is something different. I'll cover that in a second. These are what they look like. You get some looks like some grease, and then you get one set for each side. 1, 2, 3, 4. They look like they look exactly like the OEM ones. You want the this type of material. This is the good material. You don't want to go for anything cheaper when you do brakes, just so you know. So that's the brake pads. Let's cover the rotors. We have 2 here. They are Duralast brake rotors. Let's see here. Duralast brake rotors. Part number 030461. And then it's 44574. Duralast brake rotor. Each is $39.99. At the time, they might be more or less expensive. I don't know. But let's open up one, take a look, see what we get. What it looks like. Brand new rotor. It's already been, looks like emery cloth pattern, like a scratched in. So we don't need to scratch it in on both sides. They're already scratched in. But you need to spray these down with a brake cleaner to remove the anti-rust coated. What these are, I ordered these. There's a reason why I ordered these. I have 2 sets of these actually. Just so you know, they come in a pair when you order the bag. And what these are springs, clips, lock clips. These are the rubber plugs for the rear drum brakes. It's always good to have a pair of these on hand. Like, you're going to service your brakes every year, but sometimes the spring will break, and it's good to have this in the garage so you can just pull the spring out of the kit and repair it and get back down the road than having to go to a shop. Order one of these. These are important to have with your car. And let me cover the part number for this. $18.99, and the part number is 004104, and then it says VDB part, and it says 012546H7969 Duralast drum all-in-one kit. So, and on the bag it says 3006622. If you can't get these numbers, you can always just, like I said, go over to your AutoZone, or there's other different ones, automotive places. Just give the vehicle make and number on the VIN number and your car make, 2009 Hyundai Accent 1.6 liter, 4-door, 2-door, whatever, and they'll hook you up with the right hardware kit. So I don't need those today, But I'm going to keep those in the garage as part of backup in case something goes wrong. Okay, so let's take off the tire. We'll do both sides. Comes off. I might get lucky. Oh, no, not this again. Ugh. Oh, good. Just a little trick. When you get the tire off, inside here, inside the rim here, you're going to want to grind it out. Put some anti-seize in there. And it's important because it'll stick and it won't come off. And right around this rim here, grind it down nice and clean. Put anti-seize. That's where it's going to stick the most. So, but we don't have to do that because we're taking these rotors off, put new ones on. This is all scored up. I can't wait to see what thickness is on my brake pads. When they did the alignment, they told me I needed new brake pads and rotors, so I told them just to hold on doing the work because I ordered the parts myself. I'm not going to pay somebody to do this when I can do this myself. Save some money. That's the whole point of this channel. So we're going to get at this part here. We're going to take off the 2 back bolts right back here on the caliper, I guess the guide pins. And we're going to pop off the caliper. We're going to put the caliper up with a bungee as covered in the previous service videos. And let's get at it. Okay guys, so what we got to do now is we got to take off the caliper guide pin bolts. 1, 2, 14 millimeter. And break those loose. You know what? I'm going to put some PB Blaster on those before we get started. A little bit of PB Blaster. Also got a PB Blaster, the caliper mountain bracket bolts. Stuff works great. Some people use other stuff, but there we go. It's covered in the previous video. This tool here, the DeWalt angled. And give it a shot, see what happens. Check that out, eh? It's pretty sweet. Unbolt. Two bolts. Now we're going to have to press in the brake pads right here because they're probably tight up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to break this bleeder loose right here where my finger is. And then I'm going to hook up my hose with some brake fluid so that way I don't put air back in the system. And as I loosen this, I'm going to pry the brake pads open because I don't want the pressure to go back into the master cylinder. It'll ruin the seals. So a lot of guys will just start breaking in on here and doing this. Me, I'll break the bleeder first. So let me find a correct, get that off there. That's the thing. Find a socket. Oh yeah, 10 millimeter. So I always break it loose with a socket first because it's got all the points on it. Just enough to break it loose, and then I go ahead, hook the hose up, and do that. Because if you put a wrench on there, you have the chance of ripping it, or breaking it, or stripping it, and I don't feel like doing that. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of PB Blaster. Squirt it on there. Let it sit for a bit. Go get my hose. The hose I'm using is that same, remember that kit I made at the beginning of the channel? It was a brake bleeder kit with a hose and a jar. That's what I'm using. Let me go get it. Okay, I got my jar. This is amazing, okay? This has been sitting in the garage for a year. I also use this to remove oil out of my lawn tractor and stuff. Or it's like a turkey baster as well. Let me put the finger on the end of there. Let's pump this up and we'll show you. It's still holding. Watch this. Let's get the. know if you can see that, but it's holding. It ain't coming down. So that's perfect. Let's remove the air there. So we're going to be using this. I got to go get the proper adapter for the... I might be able to just fit this over here like this. Probably not. So we're going to have to go get a special bleeder adapter. Okay, so this is what I mean by brake hose adapter. It just snaps on right here like this on the nipple. And then you can hook this up to your jar. So you can get these at any local automotive store. If you they don't last long, because once you get brake fluid on them, the rubber deteriorates. Same as the hose, so you might need a new hose line. So just so you know, let's unscrew this baby. We're gonna go put some DOT brake fluid in there. We want to create an air trap. That's what we're doing. And I just went to the store, got myself some SuperTech DOT3. Good old Walmart. The thing you need to know about brake fluid, once you crack the seal, you need to throw it out because it's hyperscopic. It absorbs oxygen and it will not allow, it'll cause the brake system to overheat. You can look it up online. I'm not going to get into detail about it. But once you break the seal on the jug of brake fluid, you need to use it or throw it out. The brakes, replace the pads and rotors. That's a good time to do your brake fluid as well. So, okay, got the thing off. Let's fill up the jar. I don't care if there's existing crap in the jar because this jar, I'm not reusing anything that goes in this jar. Oops. Another thing too is you want to be careful is brake fluid will ruin your paint, so don't get any splat marks on your paint. It'll destroy your paint, so be careful. Okay, she came loose. A little trick is I always pull to the grain a little and then back. That'll help break her loose than the rest. And she's coming loose now. That's good. Okay, hook up our bleeder hose. I'm going to be using a wrench on that after once it's broken loose. What we're going to do is we're going to pump air. See if I can change the camera angle here. What we're going to do is we're going to pump this gauge to 15, and then we're going to break the bleeder open and then pry the pads apart. That'll pull the piston, pressure off the piston, the caliper piston, and then we can remove the bracket. Okay, so we're going to pump this up like so. Break open the bleeder. You'll see the brake fluid coming out. Take your thing, pry it out. And then you're going to spread the pads apart and then tighten. You can see the brake fluid coming out in the bubbles. We're going to be bleeding the brakes after we're done anyway to remove all the air. Okay. Open the bleeder. Okay, now we're just going to close it. Just like that. That's just the noise from the jar. Don't. I am so happy that bleeder came off. That undid like that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is just going to want to remove our caliper like so. And once that's done, we're going to take it and suspend it. And the reason why, if you see the piston here, I undid the plug right here to pull pressure off the piston. Because if you don't, like I said, and you try to push this back, you're going to ruin your master cylinder. So what we're going to do is, before I do that, I'm going to put that right there like that, rest that. I'm going to go grab my tool that goes in here, if you can see it on camera. And I'm going to open up the bleeder, same thing, and then I'm going to press this piston back in all the way. It's important to do that. And also another thing too is the master cylinder at the top of the engine. I'll show you that in a second. You're going to want to remove some fluid out of the master cylinder if it's full, because when you press this back in, the fluid level is going to rise and it might overflow on the master cylinder and cause issues. So what we're going to do is let's go to the master cylinder first. We'll remove the fluid. I'll use this same tool to remove the fluid because it sucks fluid, right? So instead of a turkey baster, once I remove half the fluid, I'll push the piston back, and then we'll continue with the brake change. Okay, so now we're back up at the top of the car. This is your master cylinder right here. You're going to remove the cap, and you're going to want to take the fluid down halfway. That way it doesn't overflow, because if you look here, it's at max. And if I go to push that piston back, this fluid's going to come up and overflow and come out. And I don't want that. So I'm going to take my hose. This is my same hose I used for, put it into the master cylinder, like so. And I'm just going to pump, and it should suck it right out. There you go. That's about half. You don't want to bleed it dry, because then you'll have to bench bleed the master cylinder, which is a pain in the ass. So you want to only just remove about half the fluid, like I did there. Careful you don't get any on the paint. At the bottom of the car here, I have a tool like this. It's to compress the caliper piston in. You don't need a tool. You can just use a pair of pliers. But I'm going to use this because I have this in the garage for, I don't know, 3-4 years. That's why it's important you do a yearly brake service. So we're just going to take that there like that. We're going to take our caliper tool. Okay, like so. And then we're going to hook up our bleeder, and we're going to make sure that once the bleeder's hooked up, that we apply 15 vacuum on the gauge. I'm not too sure, 15 units of vacuum. Don't go any higher than that. And then we're going to break the bleeder open, tighten this up, and it'll press the caliper piston in. And these directions are for the other side as well. Okay, I got the wrench in, the bleeder, the hose hooked up to the bleeder. I'm going to apply no more than 15 units of vacuum. And then I'm going to break the bleeder and press in the caliper piston. There we go. That's undone. You'll start to see the brake fluid coming through the line. We're just going to turn. Press the piston back in. It goes in really easy once you do it this way. There we go. Do up a wrench. There we go. Pop bleeder off. Now it's going to make a noise because that's the air pressure from my vacuum. Remove the tool. There you go. Remove the old brake pad. And you'll see right there, it's completely flush. That's the correct way to push your caliper piston back in and prevent an overflow on the master cylinder and air going back into the system. So now I'm going to suspend the caliper with a bungee up on the spring, like shown in my service video. Okay, so now the caliper's suspended. Now we can start working on the actual getting off the caliper bracket. Let's show you the actual pads. Let's get off the other one here with a screwdriver quick. There you go, guys. That's how you get rid of a stubborn pad. Chisel, sledgehammer. That's crazy, man. 1 year. Welcome to Canada, eh? Look at that. Holy crap. Look how thin that is. That's that looks like less than a millimeter. My God. That strike plate is almost going to touch the metal. That's I don't think even the, look at the wear line in the middle. It's completely gone. So these pads are completely gone and shot. But you know what? I give it to Hyundai. Good quality pads. 7 years, 161,000 kilometers on the one set of pads. Okay, no, my luck, those bolts on the back are on there like super tight. So I'm going to need a 2 wrenches. I'm going to use 1 wrench as leverage. The other wrench is to undo the bolts. Yeah, she's 17 millimeter socket. So we need to go up because I'm on the driver's side to undo. So see if I can get enough leverage here. Okay, I got a 17 and a 25. I'm going to go like this. Like that in theory. Give me some leverage. So we'll put the 17 on first. Okay. That seemed to work pretty good. Okay. That's 2. I wonder if my drill would work to do the rest. Let's try it. Let's get a 17 millimeter socket, see what happens. Let's get second bolt off here. Second bolt off. Caliper bracket. Okay, so now we have, like I said, we have guide pins. We have one right here. They're clips. You want to clean these up. There's 1. And here's 2. We're going to want to wire brush in here and here. Careful of the boots. You don't touch the boots. Okay, we're going to take the pins out. They come out like this. Here, let me just get them out real quick here. Ooh, come on. You want to hold the bushing, hold the rubber piece while you pull the pin out. There you go. There's the guide pins. I'm just gonna put it back in real quick so I know which one's top and bottom. Okay. And then same thing here. This one doesn't have a bushing on the end. Put it back in real quick there, hold it. Okay, so I'm gonna go clean this up. And right here I have this tool here. It's used, it's like a hammer screwdriver. You're gonna hammer and it's gonna undo the bolts. So I'm not even gonna try to. Now this is Canada, this is Mastercraft. Impact driver set. Just like that. And we're gonna do, they're gonna take a sledgehammer. Let's zoom out a little. Take the camera back a little. Show you what I'm doing. Okay. Got my sledgehammer. Got my bolt here, like this. Take it. And out it comes. And there's the screw right there. So that's how you remove these screws if they're stuck in. I just use this tool automatically. I don't even mess around with trying before. You're going to want to put some anti-seize on here when you put it back in, so you can get these off in the future. Because like I said, these after 7 years, they become real rusty. Let's do the second one. Right down here. Out it comes. There you go. See how easy that was? You don't need this tool for all brake jobs, but it's good to have in case you end up with a situation where the bolts won't come out. Let's see if we can wiggle these off by hand. I don't know if we're going to be able to. Nope. Let's go grab our sledgehammer again. I don't think there's any more. Still only 2 screws holding this. Come on, that's it. There we go. Off it comes. We're going to clean up all this here, wire brush it down, and then we're going to go grab our new rotor. That's completely rusted out. But you know what? I can't complain. Hyundai parts. They did me well for 7 years. Okay, so now I just put something underneath there to catch the dust. You might want to do that first before you start. You don't get all over your garage floor. I'm going to spray this down with brake cleaner. Normally I would spray it down before I take apart pieces, but that's usually the method. You're supposed to spray it down first before you start taking apart all the pieces. Especially rear brake drums, it's important you spray down before you start taking it apart, because a lot of brake dust and stuff that can get up in the air and get in your lungs. It's not good for you. So let's put that over here somewhere. Now these directions are for a 06 to 011 Hyundai Accent. If you have ABS, make sure you get ABS brake cleaner. This is non-ABS because I don't have ABS. So just want you to know that. Our new brake rotor. I'm gonna get a wire brush and brush all this down quick before I put it on. There's a nice shiny new rotor. Pull this out here. Don't forget to do the inside as well. Okay, now I got a clean rag. Now I got a clean rag. Just gonna wipe it down real quick. And what this does is it removes the coating that's in manufacturer coating that stops the rotors from rusting when they sit on the shelf. God, those look beautiful. Okay. We're going to line up our holes with our screw holes here. Yeah, that's correct. And then we're going to put in our screws. There you go. And then we need to grease the, well, let's do the pins over it. We got the bracket here. So let's remove the one pin. I want to clean this up. Okay, I'm going to go get some emery cloth. I want to sand this with some emery cloth. All nice and shiny and clean. Okay, so I got some emery cloth here. Just going to clean it up. I'm going to take a wire brush on the end and clean all this up too on here. Okay, I don't have a pair of rubber protection on the pliers. I don't want to damage the metal, so I just put a piece of cloth here, lock the pliers on it. Let's get rid of our grind tool here. Our side angle tool. Let's put in our switch it to drill. Okay. See if we can clean this up here. Okay, that looks a lot better than it did. All nice and clean. Give it one squirt of brake cleaner. There, I like that. Okay, so we're going to re-lube it. As covered in the previous service video, you want to use brake lubricant. It's a special type of brake grease. It's 100% synthetic. Use this stuff. Don't use anything else. This is from Permatex. So I got some right here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to lube up the caliper pin. Just going to clean up the surface here. Careful, this is all rubber, so you don't want to be scraping any of this, okay? So we're just going to grab our wheel. Okay, so we just grinded up the ends here. Clean them up nice and clean. Spray it down with some brake cleaner. We got our guide pins all clean. We have our caliper brackets all cleaned up with brake cleaner. And now we need to just lubricate the pin. Should be enough grease. And we're going to put the caliper guide pin back in. Like so. Now we're going to clean up this one too. Do the same thing. Hold the rubber. Pull it out. Clean that, lube that. Sure the washer goes on first and then over the bolt. Grab our tool. Once you hand thread the bolts on, okay, according to Hyundai, the service tech manual for the 17mm caliper bracket bolts, the big ones at the back that hold this piece on here, are to be torqued to 58.2 to 71.7 foot-pounds with the washers. It's important you put those washers back on. So let's set our torque wrench. We're going to set 51 to 70, so let's set it to 60. Just so you know, there's a bolt back here, the strut bolt, pointing it to it. You can't get the torque wrench in there with such a short socket. So I'm going to need a 17 long so I can clear that bolt. Let's do the bottom one. And the bottom one is going to need a short socket because the control arm angle is in the way. So just so you know, when you get this job, you're going to do this. Make sure you have a long and short socket. They won't cover that in the manual. You have to figure that out on your own. Okay, I'm going to go clean up these pins here and then we'll install those. They don't have to be shiny, you just want to get the crud out of them so that there's no crud where the meat and surfaces meet. These can go on dry onto the caliper bracket, but it's important you grease the top of these with that same type of grease that I used for the guide pins. It's very important. So let's pop this piece back up. There you go. Take some of our grease. Now, to make it cleaner, I'm going to grease the ends of the brake pads. One has the indicator on it, and the one does not, like so. So you're going to want to grease in here. In here like that. And you're going to want to grease these as well. On the back here, you don't need to put any grease. Don't forget to clean off the shim. This goes against the caliper piston on the inside, I believe, in here. There you go. Just clean that up as well. Now, as I covered earlier, you'll see the two dots on the ends here. If you're not too sure what brake pad it goes on, oh, these two dots are together. Okay, here, there we go. Here's the big one. This one here, the dots are further apart, so you can't go wrong to know which one to put the clip on. Just clip it on just like that. Perfect fit. So these pads are OE, equivalent to the Hyundai ones. They fit perfect. There's no, the holes fit up perfect, the clip fits perfect, and the clip goes on the inside. So inside like this, which means the indicator, the scratch indicator or the wear indicator is facing down. And then we're just going to put it in, put the bottom in first. It's easier to put the bottom in first. like so, and then push it in. There. It goes in. Once the slots are in the up position like this, it slides into the slot and locks in. Both top and bottom have those slots. So, doesn't that look like a beautiful brake job? Okay, so let's take off this bungee. 15.99 to 23.26. Once you hear the click, you're done. There you go. Okay guys, so I can't pour this in here without making a mess. So I'm just going to use a little cup. It's clean. I don't feel like getting brake fluid all over my inside of my... There you go. That's full. We're good there. Go inside the car. I'm going to pump the pedal till it becomes firm. And then we'll continue. Okay guys, so I just got my my homemade bleeder. I emptied out the jar just a little bit. I left about half full, just so I can not let any air in. Just put the jar up here. Okay. And all we're gonna do is, you gotta trust me, if you can't see this on the, because the exposure, don't worry about it. It says 0. We're going up to 15. We're going to open the bleeder, bring it back down to about 10, 8, and just keep repeating this. Or you can have somebody go in the car, push the brake pedal down, open the, like put pressure on the brake pedal, open the bleeder, and when the person says to the floor, you close the bleeder, and then you have them pump the brake, and you just keep repeating that process till all the air is removed out of the system. So, but for me, I'm a one-man job here, so we're going to pump this up. Going to make sure she holds. There's no air going in. Take her up to 15. Break open the bleeder. You'll start to see the brake fluid come out. This is a sweet little tool. And then once it comes out, it'll start sucking it out. There we go. Gonna want to do this till this brake fluid comes clean out of the line. And then we're gonna stop. And like I said, don't forget to keep topping off the master cylinder while you do this, or you'll bleed it dry. And I'm gonna go up to the top, fill her up with some more brake fluid. Okay, now that that's full, we're going to increase our Bring it back up to 15. Open up the bleeder. You'll see the bubbles coming down the line. Don't know if you can see that on film. You probably can see the bubbles in the line. We're going to keep doing this till the bubbles disappear and the brake fluid runs clean. Okay, we are now down to 11. Close the bleeder. Go fill up the master cylinder. We're going to repeat until those bubbles disappear. After 3 full jars, I've concluded that this has no air in the system, just so you know. So I'm just going to take this jar aside, put it aside for now, and we need to torque this down to, I think it's 9. It actually does have a torque setting. 5.9 to 9.45 foot-pounds. So you could measure that, or you could just hand tighten it. Like that. That's good enough. Put the bleeder back on the cap. There you go. So that's how you guys replace the brake rotor. New brake pads. We cleaned it all up. We torqued everything down. Put these 2 bolts back in. Lubricating with anti-seize. We pumped the brake pedal till it was firm. And like I said, you're going to want to do both sides. I still got to do the other side, but I'm not going to film that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I got one light on this. I don't know if it's light enough for you guys to see on your screen, or if it's too dark the video, but I hope it's light enough. I don't have a lot of room in here to work, so I hope you can see that okay.